Let's blast off. Let's get started. Clarence Thomas is a sugar baby. Millions of dollars. I mean, my man, UN's about to blacklist Israel. Going to blacklist Israel. The world is demanding a ceasefire. There's a Bill Maher joke in the John Oliver vid. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Are we doing TikTok reacts for Friday Fun Day? Sure. I know you don't like Brianna Joy Gray because she's annoying, but she got fired over something stupid. No. I mean, I don't mind Brianna Joy Gray. She's whatever, you know? But it's not shocking to me that the Hill fired her. Didn't they fire Katie Halper too? Can we watch some tomorrow's teachings, please? Sure, we'll do tomorrow's teachings today. I have not seen the newest Jon Stewart. Wait, what? Jon Stewart? The fuck's Jon Stewart doing? Fun Reacts is Friday. Get in now. Batman today? Sure. Maybe. Did you cover the Israel's torturing their captives? Man, I covered Israel torturing their captives in Sede Taman. Like at this point 4 months before the New York Times did. Okay. Oh, Alex Jones is what I was gonna flex on. I can't believe I forgot. Alex Jones liquidates InfoWars. Should I buy it? Should I buy them? Yeah, I'm against independent journos. No, I'm not. Why are you saying I'm against independent journos? I'm obviously pro-independent journalism, which is why I'm fucking trying to buy. I'm trying to buy InfoWars, son. Fuck you mean?
I've ruined hundreds and hundreds of people's perspectives on bodybuilders, and honestly, guys, I thought all of y'all already knew this. I am so sorry. So if you go look at the original comment, I made a video about how bodybuilders look like little guys trapped in big man costumes because of their traps and shoulders. Like if you look at Larry Wills, for example, you'll see that his traps almost look like a little dude in a costume. And I guess I was one of the only ones that saw this because not a lot of people saw it. Apparently this is new information to a lot of y'all, and I ruined y'all's perspective on it. I don't know what to say right now. People have literally flooded my comments and DMs saying that every time they look at a bodybuilder now, they cannot unsee it. And honestly, guys, I don't know what to say. So I would just like to clear up that no, this does not happen to everybody. I saw some people in my comments saying that they're going to stop working out now because they don't want to look like this. The reason why this happens is because most of these...
Oh, they're going to stop working out so they don't want to look like this? Like a fucking multiple time IFBB pro? Okay. Dog, you can't look like that no matter what. Like, I mean, it's got to be a meme, right? Because the thing is, these guys aren't just like working harder than everybody else. They're not just taking insane cocktails that like nobody's ever even fucking dared to take. They also have like genetic advantages as well. One thing that a lot of people forget is that it's not just steroids. It's not just like insane work ethic. It's also a genetic advantage. Your body's responsiveness to additional testosterone and the way your musculature works is completely genetically determined. Okay? This is something that many people don't understand and think that is like, no, you'll just look like that. No, there are people who can max out on all avenues and will never look like this. Okay? There are people which, by the way, one should also probably recognize that it's probably not that great to look like this anyway. I mean, I wouldn't want to look like this. I don't do drugs or corrupt my body with weed. I prefer my all natty HGH and anabolic steroids, baby. Yeah, like it's so funny. This is a common meme in fitness circles as well. If you have any like personal trainer friends or whatever, it's something that you talk about all the time. Women, for example, female clients will always be like, oh, I don't know if I want to work out because I don't want to look brolic. It's like, do you know how hard you have to work to look brolic as a woman? Like, are you out of your mind? Like, you have no idea. Like, they'll see like some female bodybuilders with like the fucking steroid jaw and go, oh no, what if my jaw becomes like masculine? It's like, no, you just have to do a shit ton of HGH for that. Okay. Trust me. Yeah. Oh, exactly. They see Dana Lynn Bailey once. Women see Dana Lynn Bailey once and panic, not realizing that the amount of testosterone you need to inject to your body to look that way is ridiculous. Okay, you are not going to look that way. And the same goes for men. You wish you could look like that. I mean, or maybe you don't wish you could look like that, but you're not going to look like that. That's the point.
Most of these bodybuilders are on steroids, and steroids actually make your traps a lot bigger than they should be. So yeah, unless you're taking steroids, you have nothing to worry about. 9 times out of 10, this will not happen to you. Like I said, the people that are on steroids, their traps are going to look like that because of all the androgen receptors in there. And I'm over the 1 minute mark, so bye.
Like, even what he's describing there is also genetic. Not everyone wants to look like a Baki character. No, 100%. I don't want to look like a Baki character, but I also simultaneously recognize that I won't look like a Baki character unless I do a shit ton of fucking steroids. That's the point. You're discouraging people from going to the gym with this rhetoric. Anyone who has the propensity to look huge, but not everyone has the propensity to avoid the top of the hour. It's 30 minutes into the broadcast. We're only doing a 1 minute ad break. You should know better. We're not doing a 3 minute ad break debate at the top of the hour because it's only I started late today. Do you think it's tough on the joints being that big? I mean, considering that I am that big, not like this level of muscle mass, but I am that heavy, I can tell you, yes, with a certainty. Because these guys are like fucking 5'5" and my weight. You know what I mean? Half the time, these dudes are like 5'5", 5'6", and my weight with like 7% body fat. So yes, the amount of punishment that they're putting on their joints is the amount of punishment I'm putting on my joints on a daily fucking basis. And yes, it is not great. It's not great at all. It's actually really bad, as a matter of fact. But I physically can't do anything about it because I'm 6'4" and just like a very big guy in general. Didn't you meet Ronnie Coleman? I didn't go to OTK when Ronnie Coleman was there. Taking steroids generally is tough on the joints because your muscular strength outpaces the strength of your connective tissue. So a lot of guys on juice end up snapping their shit up, torn pecs, torn biceps, etc. Yeah. 6'2", 280. My knees are crying. Yeah. Like, I squatted today, and obviously, like, my strength has gone down a lot because I'm doing 2 a days. I'm fucking constantly on a deficit. I'm losing weight, and I've already have a decent amount of muscle mass, but I'm like, obviously at this stage, like, losing weight further, losing fat further is obviously it's decreasing my strength in general, which is normal. There is not like. In the beginning, when you have a lot of fat, you can, do recomp, gain muscle, while also simultaneously losing fat. At the stage that I'm at, once you like start hitting, everybody is different. Everyone's body is different. But for someone like myself, who's always very comfortable at much higher weights, my body, once I hit like sub 20% body fat, was like, okay, well, now you're going to start losing strength and losing muscle mass too. There's no fucking way that you can just like keep it up. So as someone who's going through that process, even though I'm lowering my fucking squat, like lowering my weights on my squat, focusing on form, making sure that I get it out, making sure that I don't like, lose too much muscle mass, it still doesn't matter. My kneecap on the right, on my right knee is just always busted. Always busted. Is always fucking in the mornings is inflamed. There's not really much I can do about it. It's my bad knee. It's the knee that I already had surgery on. You know what I mean? It's just, and I had that years ago, and it's still a thing. It's still a problem. So it is what it is. My dad has lifted heavy his whole life and is 68, has both knees and both shoulders replaced, was able to recover extremely quickly, requiring minimal PT. So silver lining, titanium lining. No, that's also genetic. Your recovery period and how you recover, like a lot of that stuff, you can do everything right and it's still genetics. People forget how much genes factor into this kind of stuff. There's always going to be limitations on that front. So in any case, a photo album of natural bodybuilders before the invention of steroids. The winner was Al Trelaar, declared the most perfectly developed man in the world. He won $1,000. I mean, you have to remember, natty bodybuilders, even without steroids now, can look very different than this. And that is not just because of steroids, but since that time, you have to remember something. Since that time, like, obviously, wait, is there like nudity in here, by the way? What the fuck's going on? This dude's just like straight up rocking a fucking, rocking a leaf on his dick. Yeah, better training, better food, better exercise science, better food science, better medicine. You know, you just, like, a lot of these guys were just like, in many instances, you have to remember, a lot of these guys are just picking up heavy shit. Half of the muscle, okay, I'll explain it to you like this. Half of the exercises that you know of, even if you're a normie lifter, have not been invented at this point. Okay? Like, I'm talking pretty basic shit. They look great, but in comparison to like natural bodybuilders of today, you know, the guys that we're looking at are like the inventors of the bench press. Okay? These fuckers laid like train rails and moved hay bales for 10 years. Yeah. Wait, I was thinking about the invention of the Romanian deadlift, I think. I forget who it was, but like, I'm pretty sure the Romanian deadlift was invented because a bodybuilder had like a genuine lower back pain. And I think it was like he wanted to still be able to target his hamstrings without like hurting his fucking lower back. Like, can't wait to watch this. Gonna have to react to the reaction of me reacting. Oh, Greg's back at it, baby. Was he actually Romanian? No, I don't think he was. I think Romanian deadlifts were invented by not a Romanian dude. Hold on. Let me look this up. I don't want to give you guys fake news. Yeah, see? Oh, he was Romanian. In reality, the RDL was named by Romanian weightlifting legend Nicu Vlad during the 1990s clinic in San Francisco. During the clinic, Nicu clean and jerked 500 pounds, then proceeded to perform a mysterious deadlift-like exercise while working up to 550 plus reps. Yeah, dude, think about it this way. The Romanian deadlift is like a fundamental exercise that everyone knows about, everyone uses. That shit was invented in 1990, okay? Like, that shit was invented a year before I was born. Do you understand? Like, there is still so much more to learn. There is still so much more to learn and figure out in the field of exercise science in general. There are motherfuckers in this chat that are older than the Romanian deadlifts. So, something to think about. Imagine how good Jordan could have been with today's sports science. Oh, 100%. Hassan watches one Greg video and thinks he knows what Greg's about. Hassan is definitely on gear. Look at the size of that head and shoulders. Massive head. Probably hasn't stopped growing since he's been on TRT. He even used to work at a place called TRT. Coincidence? Run the ad break, Hassan. Stop thinking you're knowledgeable on something other than current affairs and politics. Yeah, I reacted to Greg Doucette's video, and I apologized to him at the end, and I hope that's like there. Wait, this has to be copy pasta. There's no way this guy's one of ours, right? There's no way somebody posted this. Keep this in mind when talking about Alex Jones later. Andrew Callahan said Alex has a big bench press because of his sins. He should be forgiven. No. This is definitely someone, this is one of ours who wrote this. There ain't no fucking way, dog. There ain't no fucking way, big dog. What are we talking about? Oh my God. Okay. Listen. Yeah. Someone said, look at the size of that head and shoulders. Massive head. You know whoever wrote that is a fan of mine instead. Okay. I love that. He pinned it. That's so funny. Yeah, me and Greg we're flirting a little bit. I hope he doesn't get more mad to my react. Was I really mean this time? I feel like I hope I was less mean to him. I did apologize at the end. Oh, bro, why did Hasanabi not tell me about Turkish bread being so massive? Bro, I didn't know about this. I hope this leads to a Greg collab. We need more positivity, PR strong stocks. Opinion on Jesny Burak. He's the GOAT. Sometimes men flirting can be hot. I think so. You make new enemies every day. I know. I got to stop making new enemies, dude. Please buy InfoWars. Turn it into something you know would piss them off, like Furry Wars. Chat, should I buy InfoWars? Yo, you unironically laughed at him so hard and said, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know who's winning in this fucking battle? Not me, not my editors, let me tell you, because we didn't upload a reaction to it. You know who uploaded a reaction to it on the other hand? Hasanabi Productions. And Hasanabi Productions video is outperforming my latest video already. Greg Duchette calls out Hasanabi. He said, this motherfucker's so fast, bro. Look at him. Greg Duchette calls out Hasanabi. 96,000 views in 15 hours. You made him stop being horny and now he's a machine. Meet the Duchettes. Okay. I've seen videos posted 10 minutes after you finish a segment. It's insane. Yeah, it's cool. It's fine. Yeah. The moment that Hasanabi Productions stopped being horny is the moment that he became unstoppable. He became an unstoppable force, dude. We unlocked a new potential for him. When he stopped horny posting, he just became like a demon. Also, yeah, this is the
put the hat on her. Oh no, she doesn't like gay things. Do you have a pet voice?
of course.
Yeah.
Is that ick?
That's an ick.
Wait, cutie, let me hear your pet voice.
Hiya, come here, little girls. Hi.
They literally were grossed out by it. They straight up were grossed out by it, which is crazy.
Billy.
Okay, you ready for mine?
Yeah. Hiya, come here, Kaya.
It's so weird. When he did this
such
earlier,
a
I was
good-
like, I thought there was a different person.
Such a good girl.
I am very understanding of other people's pet voices because mine is like super lame.
Yours is like a f***ing bomb.
What?
You don't expect it. I just melt when I see this beautiful little lady.
Mhm.
This beautiful little lady. This mother pet food. Not an egg. It's genuinely cute as fuck. What? I just, it's impossible for me not to make that noise when I see Kaya. It's like physically, she just brings that out of me. Also, speaking of physically bringing things out of people, okay, here's just racism in display.
About the lack of help defense from the Boston Celtics on these Irving and about the lack of help defense from.
You hate to see it, okay? You hate to see it. Why? Because it brings about, and trigger warning, you might hear the N-word. It's just a gaggle of white Celtics fans. Here's what that creates. I mean, this is literally a Klan rally, okay? I rest my case. What they are doing right here is literally a Klan rally, bro. They have a black doll of Kyrie Irving and they're fucking beating the shit out of it while saying, fuck that something. I don't know what they're saying. I do know what they're saying. They're saying, you know, the national pastime. You just, you know, the Boston Hitlers. Yeah, they're saying, let's go, Brandon. They want to be Knicks fans so bad, but we're actually fun and not doing a Klan rally on 33rd and 7th. Yeah, they want to do the, oh, don't you wish you came to the Knicks? But like, they can't say that without ending that word with like additional letters that turn it into the N-word, because they are just like, there's no way. There's no way. You put this many Bostonians together. You put this many Bostonians in a room, the N-word is going to start flying. The N-word is going to start flying left and right. You hate the Celtics. The Mavs are literally owned by Miriam Adelson. So, like, if the Celtics are Hitler, the Mavs are Turbo Hitler. Okay, we're not talking about the owners. Okay, we're talking about the fans. I saw that one Fearon clip floating around that Ed and Momentum retweeted. And Elton John were sitting side by side, and Joe was like, you know, a lot of people got AIDS because of you.
I remember this.
Yeah.
What?
He just had a fucking classic Brandon Gaff moment.
By the way, it's all his fault. We're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month to help AIDS, fight HIV.
He said Elton John was responsible for the AIDS crisis. Yeah, Elton, you're too gay. Bostonian here can confirm these degenerates are not entirely representative of our city. Okay, like big parts of it though. Texas fans ain't too great either. We're not talking about the Cowboys, okay? We're talking about the Dallas Mavericks. Different. We don't like Kyrie, but we like Bill Russell. He was one of the good ones. Least racist Celtics fan. In any case, all I'm gonna say is, you know, racism won, but Kyrie's gonna bring it back. Okay. Someone needs to injure that white boy on the Celtics in an effort to normalize the situation. We cannot allow white supremacy to thrive in this country, okay? What is going on? They might not have won on January 6th, but they did win on June 6th. Yeah. Mavs' best player is a white guy. I rest my case. It doesn't matter. He's accepted. He's valid. Okay? He's valid. Are you watching Summer Game Fest? I don't know what that is. What was he supposed to do? Smoke it before he went to sleep? Hunter Biden's ex-girlfriend claims he'd smoke crack as soon as he'd wake up. That's such a good take. They paid, what is this? They paid 10 grand for this? Father and son buy a piece of land for nearly $10,000. This is what they got.
On the new piece of land they just bought in South Florida. And we mean piece of land. Kerville Holness and his son Kerville Jr. thought they got the deal of a lifetime, paying $9,100 in an online auction for a home valued at $177,000. They didn't buy this 3-foot wide patch of green. They bought this, a strip less than an inch in width.
Bro, dude, Florida is so sick. Florida is so fucking sick, dude. They just do crazy shit over there. Respect to Florida for, you know, never stop being weird, man. How is this legal? Like, how are you allowed to sell that? It's just, this is what happens in the fucking ANCAP dream, dude. ANCAPistan.
It runs right through the house all the way to the back. They feel duped because they say the real estate auction showed the villa, not the strip of land. The county claims the father and son didn't read the fine print carefully. They say it clearly shows the land value being $50.
I love the Florida. I love that there's just like, nah, it's not a scam actually. Sorry, you just had to read the fine print, dumbass. I love when the county is also in line with the scamming. ANCAPistan, once again. No restitution for you, bitch. That's awesome.
With a building value of $0. This is from the county, right? Mm-hmm. All right. They're trying to say that this red strip right here is what was shown.
Wasn't
and that
shown.
You should have known.
Wasn't shown.
This could happen to anybody. It really could have.
His father and son.
Oh my God. All right. I guess he's dude, he needs to, it's his right. He needs to be able to walk through that house now. You know what I mean? Technically, he needs to be able to cut through that goddamn house. Technically, that's his land. He should be able to legally cut through that house. That entire strip of land is him. Oh, this is a fun little story I heard. Remote Amazon. Why can't I pause this video? What is happening on the New York Post, bro? It's like not letting me pause the video. It's just autoplay. Sorry, you're going to have to watch it. Remote Amazon tribe finally connects to the internet only to wind up hooked on porn and social media, they say. This seems like one of those fake ass stories, but what are you gonna do? We'll get to that in a second. Have you covered the New York City congestion pricing fiasco yet? No, I have not, but I will. Today, I will cover the New York City congestion pricing fiasco with Katie Hochul. She sucks. And we'll talk about it. To be fair, their landlords fucking over landlords. Lamau, what? No chill, ho chill. Yeah. Have you covered Cortland Property Management being raided by the FBI? Yes, briefly. Bro, what are you talking about? Israel invasion into Lebanon? I'm supposed to be going there in less than a month. Listen. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? All I'm saying is good luck. Have fun. You know, I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful time. Okay? Oh, the Kara Swisher pod mentioning you at the 56th minute mark with AOC was what I was going to look at.
First, you know, you're seeing.
Wait, hold on.
This episode is brought to you by On Investing.
That's and now I don't think we had none. Let's put of 9/11 is undermining or seeking to distract or undercut
9/11
attention on the atrocity that Palestinians are facing. And so if you are a Democrat that wants to build support among young people on and shore up your support on economic issues, on your message on healthcare, on your message on wages, on jobs, we need a ceasefire because you're not going to cut through anything. And that is what is happening with millennials in Gaza. This is Vietnam. This is a war brought into a new media medium that people cannot take their eyes away from. So I think that's one thing. And I also think that the polling on this issue is complex. It's not like cool to love Joe Biden right now. And it is a difficult political environment as a young person to come out and signal early support when what is happening is happening.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of felt solidarity with things like the Uncommitted campaign. They want to allow, at this point in June, before the convention, they want to allow a lot of the activism that's happening. Now, that is hurting Democrats. It is hurting Democrats. So I think we need the policy shift, which once we do that, I think it's also important to lean on surrogates. And I don't mean just like TikTok influencers.
Right. Yeah.
I mean highlighting the real people in government that are inspiring.
But as you said, Gaza sort of sucks up the oxygen here. We're recording this on Tuesday, and two partners in Benjamin Netanyahu's governing coalition recently rejected Biden's ceasefire proposal.
I put the volume up. What do you want?
Accepts it. Meanwhile, President Biden said recently in an interview with Time magazine, there's every reason to believe that Netanyahu is prolonging the war to ensure his own political survivor. You've called for the U.S. to suspend arms sales to Israel. And a week ago, you did a live stream on Twitch with Hassan Piker and agreed with him when he said the October 7th attacks by Hamas were, quote, a direct consequence of the Abraham Accords and many of Jared Kushner's and Donald Trump's administration's actions, like moving the embassy to Jerusalem, which you responded 10,000%. Where are we right now? Because there doesn't seem to be a common ground where there's any good answer with these. Do you really blame the October 7th attacks on the Abraham Accords?
I think there's a difference between blame and consequence. You know, Hamas and Hamas alone is responsible for October 7th. And the horrific, disgusting, absolute abomination against humanity that they engaged in falls squarely on their shoulders. You know, they are genocidal. This is it was a genocidal act. It is horrific. Now, what I think is important for us to understand is the conditions that we operate in. And the Abraham Accords, which began as a Trump-era policy that Biden then chose to continue, is a stance of essentially trying to consolidate the Middle East using and engaging Saudi Arabia in order to completely isolate Palestinians and to prevent, in my view, any sort of semblance of humanity here. And what I think is important for us to recognize and understand is that if we do not see the context and conditions and consequences of engineering this despair, then we are dooming ourselves to continued generational, endless violence. This is like saying, for example, in the direct consequence and aftermath of 9/11, which was a metaphor that was used often in the direct aftermath of October 7th as well, is that this was Israel's 9/11. This is like saying that 9/11 happened completely out of nowhere and that there's no larger context.
Shit.
Of course, this was one of the most horrific terrorist attacks to
let's
happen
go.
in
That's great.
U.S. history.
Bro, she literally is like, okay, that's fire. Sorry, safe. Okay. Yeah, she brought it up in a way. She brought it up in a way where it was like, oh, what? Okay, that's crazy. But like, no, she's talking about blowback, which is 100% true. She's, I'll take it. I'll take it. She's right. 9/11 didn't happen in a vacuum, and neither did October 7. 100p. Okay, that's correct.
Doesn't make these people good guys or redeemable or anything like that. But for us to not talk about our role in the world is a form of denialism, and it closes the door to, in my view, the possibilities for a path to peace.
Well, now Biden's shifted towards your direction.
Okay, good. I mean, she's right on that too. Chatters always have so much smoke for AOC, but when Bernie says worse shit is crickets, yeah, I know. It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny for chatters who just weirdly never have that same level of anger and animosity for Bernie. We do rip on Bernie a lot though, especially nowadays. Talking about 9/11 is so shit. The issue is she can't say it directly about current events. Is so cowardly. Sorry. Yeah, bro, she's a politician on a fucking liberal podcast. Give me a break. I think this is infinitely better than what you're going to get. You want Parenti style commentary. Well, Parenti style commentary in a libbed up ass country like the United States of America is not going to work. And also she did use a decent analogy. Comparing it to blowback from 9/11 is not the best analogy, considering that like Al-Qaeda and its means and its goals overall, I would not consider to be anywhere in line with like Palestinian resistance in general. Ultimately, though, yeah, October 7 had a lot of atrocities committed in the hands of the Palestinian resistance that completely fucking went out of control. And you have to address how it occurred. You cannot look at it as like, this is the starting point. Bernie Sanders, one of my biggest criticisms of Bernie Sanders is that he literally looks at it and says, Hamas started this. And it's like, no, bitch, you know he didn't. You know they didn't start this. Doyen account of you is popping. Wait, really? I've heard this a couple times in this chat. That makes me so happy. I really hope it's popping off. God, I can't wait to go to China. I want to be a Doyen star. In any case, she's like, the worst aspect of it was when she was saying like it's a genocidal act.
I have a question. I don't know if I'm the only person who feels
Normie, yeah, I've seen this before. We liked it.
If I'm crazy or
I've seen this before. AOC satisfied the people who wanted to hear the Hamas genocide line and then hit them with a 9/11 she's using where she has to work with, play the game so well. Yeah. Summer Games Fest, like a mini E3, and starts at 2 p.m. Okay, nice. Speaking of October 7th, do you remember the dad that said he was relieved his daughter died instead of getting abducted? Well, he's back. Tom Hand ashamed to call himself Irish after government's Palestine recognition. Bro, this guy is just like, he's out of control, man. He's out of control. He's always popping. He's popping off in the worst ways possible. I mean, I don't really care. Whatever. You know, let him pop off in the ways that he wants to. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Clarence Thomas acknowledges more travel paid for by Harlan Crow. Colleagues report 6-figure book payments. Bro, Clarence Thomas is a sugar baby. Okay. Supreme Court of the United States Justice Clarence Thomas, okay, who is into bestiality porn, as you guys know, famously, is also a sugar baby for a guy who's into Hitler a little too much, which is weird to say out loud. You're like, what, Hassan? That's really the title of the story. And unfortunately for all of us, unfortunately for the nation, unfortunately for the planet, that title is 100% accurate. Okay. Supreme Court of the United States Justice, a man who is in an appointed seat that is a lifetime appointment, is a sugar baby for a Hitler fan billionaire by the name of Harlan Crow. That is literally the reality. Okay. Is there a way to be into Hitler that isn't too much? I mean, maybe you're like a genocide scholar or something. You know what I mean? But Harlan Crow certainly is not. He's straight up just called Hassan China. Wait, what? What is this? You said it's popping. It's got... Is it popping? This is not popping at all. This has got 4 likes, bro. What are you talking about? This shit's not popping at all. He duped me.
太受欢迎了。这是甘尼说的，你不应该信任任何政治家，但同时也要考虑 M 罗为穷人做的一切。在墨西哥，Claudia 致力于继续 M 罗的政策，支持那些缺乏权力和财富的人，但这并不意味着我们不应该准备好接受公平的批评。就像我会保留对他政策的判断。我的意思是，当他不可避。
I'm spitting, bro. I'm spitting. Hassan when Chess says, if you love China so much, why don't you go there? This is such a stupid. What the fuck? I mean, literally, though. That's me and Kaya. White boy shocks Chinese with perfect Mandarin. Yup. You're speaking in the most nerdy Chinese voice ever? Yeah, well, what am I supposed to do?
避免的执行这些政策是，而不是立刻说，这是事实是拥有这种流行的执政授权。从历史上看，实际上在过去也带来了繁荣。
That's sick. Oh shit! Israel's Gaza expected to announce resignation from Netanyahu's government on Saturday. Gaza announced its intention to quit the Netanyahu-led government several weeks ago unless a plan for post-war governance of Gaza is approved by June 8th. He also hoped that progress will be made in talks over a hostage deal by the time his ultimatum expires. You think this real?
对吧？吃这么多啊？你能吃完不？来，我跟你说。
Bro, China is so ahead of us. They're so ahead of us in the game, dude. They even got their pigs educated.
来，我给你分担点。哦吼，外泄！哼，我就知道跟你爸一个德行，抠抠搜搜，还挺讲究。咋，元宝？吃这么多啊
？This cop, yeah. Always some chatters with negative opinions. Like, let's just enjoy the content law. Wait, what? Who's got negative opinions? I work with Wuxi at my job, and they get so many national holidays off, way more than I do at my big pharma job. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, we got a lot to cover. We'll talk about Clarence Thomas being a sugar baby. Also, Elon's grotesque body seems to be transforming further. His ass is several times fatter than usual, and his bizarre chest mutation is causing him to resemble a centaur from the legends of old, says Brace. I don't know why he looks this way. I don't understand it. Okay? Like, when we're talking about evil Olympics, Jeff Bezos, my boss, still clears everybody. He was like, yeah, bitch, I'm bald. What of it? Fuck this hairline restoration nonsense. I'm just going to do unlimited TRT. Okay? Instead of this like weird BBL drizzy shit that Elon is working with. Jeffrey Jebediah Bezos straight up was like, yeah, dog, fuck all this nonsense. I'm doing Anavar, and I am dating the most Real Housewives of Beverly Hills looking ass woman you will ever see, okay? I remember that tweet where someone was saying someone needs to study how every billionaire is becoming more Dominican by the moment. And Jeffrey Jebediah Bezos is basically leading the charge. Okay. He got hit with the Dominican Ray. I don't know what happened to him, but you know, he is technically still much better than Elon in that regard, and only that regard, nothing else. Stop. He has the same body as my dad, born in the DR. I don't know what the fuck is happening to this dude. What is going on? Has anyone investigated what the fuck's happening? I will not stand for this Dominican slander. I wasn't even talking about him looking Dominican. I was talking about Jeff Bezos. Both Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg got hit with the Dominican Ray recently. Like, it wasn't even I'm not even talking about Elon Musk. As far as billionaires goes, like, you have two speeds: weird malformation, grotesque, hard to look at body, or Dominican. Two speeds for billionaires out here. Let's see what happens to Bill Gates. What? Yo, Anna got real beef with you? What the fuck is this? I don't care, bro. Please stop. What? There's no way this is real. The fuck are you talking about? She got so mad she couldn't even type it correctly. Stop, guys, please. There's got to be fake. Under air. Anyway. You want the stream link for what? D went to Israel and did a meet and greet with a bunch of Hitler Youth and IDF soldiers. This really happened. Destiny goes to Israel in the middle of a genocide in which tens of thousands of children have been murdered. Is greeted by 100 adoring fans, among them genocidal IDF soldiers. Oh, that's sick, man. I love that. I love that his meetup. I love that he gets more play. He gets more play in Israel than he does in America now. Chat meetup in the midst of a genocide. Are we watching Summer Games Fest in an hour? No. The majority of his subreddit is Israeli Redditors. I mean, he fully fucking converted to being a mouthpiece for Israel's genocide specifically. Yesterday's come to Israel chatters make a lot more sense now. Yeah. Is this the on the ground reporting chatter asked for yesterday? Yeah, this is what he wants. I like that that's what it took. I like that that's what it took for Israel to be like, this is our guy now. A guy who like 8 months ago was like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't really know where Israel is on the map, but you know, they should just do their genocide, and then just basically made post hoc rationalizations for 8 months by picking apart quotes from Wikipedia pages and then going into like diving a little bit further into the Wikipedia pages to find like a couple people who have written the articles or written the books themselves to be like, these guys agree with me. It's great. It's not, the problem isn't Wikipedia, okay? The problem is only Wikipedia, and the problem is using Wikipedia for post hoc rationalizations for your assumed positions that are completely unimaginably unhinged. On the ground reporting, American white guy visits Nazi Germany to interview Hitler Youth and German soldiers. Yeah. What's post hoc rationalization? Post hoc rationalization means like you've assumed a position and you're rationalizing it after the fact instead of working towards a conclusion by investigating the premises and developing a conclusion after. Post hoc. Yeah, it's a reverse engineering genocidal defense. But post hoc works too. All right, let's get started. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is going to address the U.S. Congress in July.
Israel's latest deadly strike in Gaza. Israel is now trying to justify its attack on a United Nations.
I do think it's funny because like those communities personally love talking about how like someone is paid for by the Iranian government. Someone is paid for by the Russian government. Ooh, it must be 9 a.m. on Kremlin time, sweaty. But like when they fucking get like a fully government sanctioned trip to a genocidal nation, like that's perfectly valid because that's in the sphere of influence for the United States of America. You know what I mean? You're not considered a propaganda mouthpiece for a particular government in that circumstance because, excuse me, like that's Israel, that's our ally. And it's pretty funny. I, on the other hand, still untarnished on that front. So let's just remember that, okay?
School, which had sheltered displaced Palestinians. The Israeli military claims that the school was being used by the terrorists. Chris Livesay is following all of this in Tel Aviv. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. Israel is wasting no time to defend its attack on that UN school.
Hey guys, don't worry. If you were wondering, what Israel was saying, well, there you go. There's the evidence. This is the aerial photo the IDF released this morning. Following a strike on terrorists using UNRWA school in Nusayrat, we know what 3 rooms Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists were using. Oh, there you go. Here's the evidence. This was our target. Okay, well, that's still the school, dumbass. The fuck? Nice evidence you got there.
In Gaza, a school it says had been turned into a compound for Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad fighters. Now, a spokesman for the Israel Defense.
What rights do Israeli people have that Palestinians do not? Genuine question. I'm educating myself. There's different tiers. There's different classifications for Palestinians that have rights, right? The worst being Palestinians in Gaza because they're currently withstanding ethnic cleansing in an ongoing bombing campaign. The second worst being Palestinians living in West Bank, which is supposed to be not Israeli territory, but is currently occupied by the Israeli government. In the West Bank, there is a de facto apartheid. There's Bantustans, basically. The West Bank is completely controlled and occupied by the Israeli occupying force. Palestinians have to go through checkpoints. Normal travel for Israelis that take 10 minutes can sometimes be up to 3 hours for Palestinians in the West Bank. And then you have the Palestinian citizens of Israel, people that were given citizenship in Israel and then had full-blown citizenship after 1967. Before 1967, the Palestinian citizens of Israel were under the similar structure of military rule and military governance that the Palestinian citizens that are living in West Bank were experiencing. Post-1967, they gave them, a lot of the same liberties, and at least they are governed by the same civil court structure now inside of Israel, which comprises 25% of the Israeli population. They're the Druze, the Bedouin, the Christian and Muslim Arabs living inside of Israeli territory. Israel has a 2-tier demographic understanding. You're either Jewish or you are not Jewish. If you're not Jewish, you do have some less rights, even inside of Israel proper. What do I mean by this? For example, if you are let's say you're a citizen of Israel and you want to marry a Palestinian, you want to marry a Palestinian Muslim or a Palestinian Christian, you are not allowed to bring them into the country. You are not allowed to marry them and bring them into the country and give them citizenship. You can only downgrade on your citizenship. You can never get them to become full-blown citizens. There are plenty of discriminatory laws against non-Jews inside of Israel, something that many people fail to consider because they'll always point to there's a Arab Supreme Court justice, blah, blah, blah. But the Israeli government owns 96% of the land inside of Israel proper, and they use that as an advantage to continue building Jewish-only enclaves, which is legal under Israeli law. There is a de facto segregation in Israel proper for Palestinian citizens of Israel. There is a lot of, control 96% of the land. And in certain Jewish enclaves, you are allowed to systematically discriminate towards non-Jews and not allow them to live in your neighborhood if you want to. Beyond that, since 1948, Israel's built over 700 towns and settlements for Jews inside the Green Line, most from land forcibly confiscated by the state. For Palestinian citizens, Israel's built around 7, if I count correctly, and even those are just cases where Bedouins sat on good real estate. To this day, Israel continues to demolish entire Palestinian villages, often for the expansion of existing towns. Also, just FYI, the military rule over Palestinian citizens ended in 66. Sorry, not 67. The military rule over Palestinian citizens ended in 66, where the 25% of the population, Palestinian citizens of Israel, the non-Jewish citizens living inside of Israel, were under military rule. They no longer were under military rule after 1966, but military rule existed for all of the Palestinian citizens living in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. So it's not de facto segregation, it's de jure, brother. It's in the law. True. I mean, there's also de facto segregation. There's also de jure segregation as well. It's both. The de facto segregation comes from, workplace discrimination, things of that nature. But the regular, in the law segregation also exists. Israel, you may not know this, but Israel is a nation state for Jews, according to the Israeli constitution. You're constantly sympathizing with terrorists. Just say Hamas is bad. Why is that so hard for you? You're a liberal, pro-Hamas terror, pro-terror grifter. I don't understand why you have this platform. I watched you all of 2020, but this is too far. You have to say at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break right after this. And I know you're going to say that, but let me tell you, okay? That's just a badass bait at the top of the hour. It's not going to work. A kid named Dame. Ha. Anyway, hopefully that was a little bit more enlightening for the... Damn, he got me. I know I got you. That's a week 2-parter. Also, Palestinians are not judged by a civil court, but a military one. Another part of Israel's apartheid structure? No. The Palestinian citizens of Israel are now judged by a civil court and not a military one. The Palestinians living in the West Bank are still judged by a military court and not a civil one. Okay? You will be judged by whether or not you are subscribed or not at the top of the hour. Because if you don't subscribe, you will see a 3-minute ad break right now. You can do that for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite broadcaster. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. All right, let's continue. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's in the throes of a war crime investigation, both in the ICJ, the Israeli state, is being investigated for genocide, and in the ICC, Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant are directly being investigated. There's an application out for a warrant on their arrest by the International Criminal Court. 2 different entities, 2 different international institutions of justice are targeting both the Israeli state and the leaders of the Israeli state. And yet, what is the United States of America doing? Hugging and kissing and sucking the dick of Benjamin Netanyahu. He is going to be addressing the U.S. Congress in July, 24th of July, which is 1 day before my birthday.
Forces did not deny that thousands of civilians were also sheltering in this school. Indeed, he condemned the terror groups for hiding behind them as human shields. A CBS News crew in Gaza visited the chaotic aftermath. At a hospital, they saw dozens of dead and wounded, including children. All this as the war and hostage crisis continue to strain relations between the White House and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell have announced that Netanyahu will come to Washington to address a joint meeting of Congress on July 24th. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who has called for new elections in Israel, also said he invited the prime minister to speak. It is not known if Netanyahu will also meet with President Biden. Gail?
Shit.
So many questions still. Chris Lifsay, thank you, reporting from Tel Aviv.
Hold on, I got to take Kai out to get groomed.
Some breaking news now. The United
Kai's groomers here. Hold on. I'm gonna be back.
Is to add Israel to a global list of offenders for committing violations against children. Now, this move was revealed by Israel's UN ambassador, who, along with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has reacted angrily to the move. Gabriel Elizondo joins us now from UN headquarters in New York. What further reaction has there been from there, Gabe?
Well, the UN is being asked a lot of questions about this, of course, but right now, as of this very moment, the UN is not commenting on this and not confirming this either. Now, the Secretary General's spokesperson is about to have a briefing with journalists, his regular briefing that he has almost every day. We'll be asking him about this, but so far, the Secretary General's office is not confirming this and not commenting on this. That could change now, though, in the coming minutes or even hours, because, as you mentioned, we're hearing out of Israel confirmation that they have been put on this, what's so-called list of shame. This is an annual report that's put out by the Secretary General looking at countries or different organizations and how they don't protect children in armed conflict. It's called the Children in Armed Conflict Report, actually, and this would be the first time Israel is put on this report, known as the informally known as the list of shame for the countries that are put on it, because according to what we're hearing, at least, it's due to the war on Gaza, which the latest numbers are more than 14,000 Palestinians, children killed in Gaza, 12,000 injured. So we're going to be asking around here a lot in the next few minutes or so of the UN to see if they'll give us more confirmation on this. But based on what we're hearing from Netanyahu and even the Israeli ambassador to the UN, who's put out a message as well saying that they have been informed by the Secretary General that Israel will be put on this list.
Thank you very much. Gabriel Elizondo with the latest on that story from UN headquarters in New York. We're going to begin, though, with a major new effort by President Biden to warn about the forces threatening democracies all around the world. A short while ago, he met with Ukrainian President, that's Volodymyr Zelensky on your screen, in France to discuss future U.S. aid for that country's fight against the Russian invaders. Now, Ed O'Keefe has been traveling with the president and joins us now from Pointe du Hoc, where Biden is set to speak a little later today. Ed, good morning to you.
Gail, good morning. This is one of the most breathtaking backdrops a president can visit. We're standing between Utah and Omaha beaches, where tributes to the thousands who fought on these beaches will continue later this morning. But in that meeting with President Zelensky just a little while ago, President Biden announced another $225 million in military aid to Ukraine. He'll be here later to talk about his concerns about the future of democracy. A day of ceremony marking the service and sacrifice of those who stormed the sands of Normandy.
In their hour of trial, the Allied forces of D-Day did their duty. Now the question for us is, in our hour of trial, will we do ours?
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden joined French President Emmanuel Macron, the British royal family, and other leaders, including Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who earned a hero's welcome from heroes past.
Oh, you're the savior of the people. Kiss my eyes. I pray for you.
And it was Ukraine's war against aggressor Russia where the president was most forceful.
The autocrats of the world are watching closely to see what happens in Ukraine, to see if we let this illegal aggression go unchecked. We cannot let that happen.
Today, President Biden speaks at Pointe du Hoc, home to 100-foot cliffs between Omaha and Utah Beach, scaled 80 years ago this week by Army Rangers to neutralize German artillery.
He's going to talk about the gift that those soldiers gave us and the world, and how we have to treasure and cherish that gift going forward and do everything we can to preserve it.
Biden isn't the first American president to speak from the shell-scarred site. 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan...
Sorry, I had to give Kaya to the mobile groomer. That's what I'm doing. I'm letting my daughter get groomed. It's fucked up. We're gonna get back to the. We're obviously gonna get back to this and the blacklist situation, because I'm not done with that. Obviously, D-Day was awesome. It was critical in helping the Soviets defeat the Nazis. But I think it's so funny how France celebrates another country invading it. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to it. Where was I? So UN is in place to. UN is about to place Israel on a global blacklist for violations against Palestinian children. Okay. Liberating and invading are two different things, you potato brain chatter. You should collab with the YouTube channel Girl with the Dog. She grooms dogs on her channel. Sure. Maybe. Israel obviously is not very happy about the situation.
The Secretary General's spokesperson is about to have a briefing with journalists, his regular briefing that he has almost every day. We'll be asking him about this, but so far the Secretary General's office is not confirming this and not commenting on this. That could change now, though, in the coming minutes or even hours, because, as you mentioned, we're hearing out of Israel confirmation that they have been put on this, what's so-called list of shame. This is an annual report that's put out by the Secretary General looking at countries or different...
Do not agree. She lives in Niagara Falls, Canada, Lamont. Okay, well, there you go. Then I will not be getting Kaya groomed. Gilad Erdan had some choice words for this, saying, "This is simply outrageous and wrong. Hamas." Alongside a video of him speaking into a telephone and condemning the move. He also then followed on by saying it's the most, Israel's the most moral army on the planet. Classic shit. In any case, the Palestinian Authority welcomes the decision. Guterres faced criticism from Palestinian rights advocates for failing to place Israel on the so-called list of shame, in which included Russia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Somalia, Syria, and Haiti. The blacklist meant to call out parties engaged in abuse against children. It's just another vector for pressure. That's it. Like, it's not like, as far as I understand, it's not anything like, there's not anything tangible. But once again, Israel moving in the direction of being a pariah state once more. So, when you kill 15 to 16,000 children mercilessly and continue killing more children every day, it's going to happen. Okay? You're gonna become a pariah state. You should have been considered a pariah state far before this moment, but at least now people are paying attention. Okay. Israel is upset because they're on a list with majority black nations. Yeah. But they're also on a list with Russia, which they kind of like. So at least there's that. To the Russians that went to Israel, even if they did not have any sort of Jewish heritage, but still became full-blown Israeli citizens, this might be welcoming for them. They're like, yeah, those who push Z and also push Israel's, special military operation in Gaza, they're in a unique predicament. They're like, well, this is great. We're getting hit by two different avenues of attack, which means we must be right.
Organizations and how they don't protect children in armed conflict. It's called the Children in Armed Conflict Report, actually, and this would be the first time Israel is put on.
Russian Jews? No. Not all of the Russians that immigrated into Israel were of Jewish heritage at all, famously. So.
On this
something to consider.
Report, known as the informally known as the list of shame for the country.
Listen, there is definitely a the Israeli government has had a very unique interest in trying to ensure at least some level of whiteness in the way that we understand it in the Western world. Okay. Post USSR, there were, of course, in the USSR, there were definitely Russian Jews that immigrated into Israel, but there's definitely a lot that weren't Jewish at all. that had no Jewish heritage, no Jewish matrilineal heritage, or just any kind of Jewish heritage whatsoever, that just kind of came to Israel. This aligned well with the interests of the state at the time that wanted to, you know, at least have some semblance of whiteness in its demographics.
Countries that are put on it because according to what we're hearing, at least, it's due to the war on Gaza, which the latest numbers are more than 14,000 Palestinians, children killed in Gaza, 12,000 injured. So we're going to be asking around here a lot in the next few minutes or so of the UN to see if they'll give us more confirmation on this. But based on what we're hearing from Netanyahu and even the
ICJ and the UN restrictions or sanctions or whatever do not hold. Is there any other org? No. The only group, the only country that can hold Israel accountable is the United States of America. That's it. The UN, the ICC, the ICJ, all of these international organizations are merely an extension of American hegemonic power. Now, obviously, that's changing a little bit with this Israel situation. But ultimately, they have no real mechanism to enact change. Like, there is nothing that they can do to Israel or to the United States of America, for that matter. But all of this pressure, all of the naysayers, all of the people that are like, bro, Israel, you got to cut this shit out, makes it costly for the United States of America to maintain its control and its influence over the international organs of justice and also these international organizations in general. The more there is a separation between the US and the UN on issues such as this one in general, the less soft power opportunities the United States has. In a way, this is, I would say, even worse than what Donald Trump did in terms of American dominance around the world. The most significant relationship for Israel comes from the United States of America, because all the Western nations that trade with Israel, whether it be Germany or Italy offering arms to Israel, or whether it be the United States obviously giving the overwhelming majority of arms to Israel, all of that happens with America's go-ahead. If America turned around yesterday and said no more arms to Israel until they fucking dissolve the apartheid, Israel would have to say, yes, sir. Okay? Maybe it's a dumb question, but if the U.S. put heavy sanctions on Israel, do you think it would push Israel to align with Russia or China? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Okay? Israel is already aligned with Russia to a certain degree. Israel's already aligned with China. Ultimately, though, Israel, there's a reason why Israel doesn't have a Hasbara operation that is specifically in Mandarin. Okay? Israel does not have a Hasbara operation that is specifically in Russian. Israel, however, the foreign ministry, the overwhelming majority of work that the foreign ministry puts in is in English, specifically directed towards the United States of America. There's an APAC. There are numerous different lobbying organizations. Why is there no similar effort against manipulating, influencing, and having setting up favorable deals with the Chinese government, for example? They already have it. They already have a decent trade relationship with China. Okay. And they already have a decent relationship with Russia in general as well. There's a lot of connections between Israel and Russia. But the reason why they do so much, the reason why Israel does so much propaganda towards the West, maybe even more than propaganda that they do internally, or at least very different propaganda that they do internally as they do towards the West, is because without America, this whole thing falls apart. They know this. And anyone that acts like this isn't real is either delusional or lying to themselves or lying to you.
want to ask you about another democracy, the one in the Middle East.
Haven't dug too deeply into this, but I remember reading a few years ago that about 60 to 70% of the immigrants that came to Israel from the post-Soviet states in 2020 are not Jewish.
Israel, of course. And the fact that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is now set to address Congress on July 24th. One of your close colleagues, Congressman Steny Hoyer, said, quote, "There will be a lot of disruption and it will not be helpful for Israel or its supporters." If you were still Speaker, would you have invited him?
Interesting. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that I think this is wrong. Frankly, I didn't approve of his being invited the last time, but the Speaker just on his own invited him without consulting with the rest of the leadership.
Wait, what? That's crazy. What's happening? Whoa, what the fuck? Yo, Nancy P. It was in Hebrew media, but they may have covered it. Haha, I don't know. What are you talking about? The Russians coming into Israel? Not being of Jewish background or origin? She's talking about last time, which is when the Republicans invited Benjamin Netanyahu as a fuck you to Barack Obama. Something to remember. For those of you who don't know, back when Barack Obama was working on the Iran denuclearization agreement, which is a signature foreign policy accomplishment for the Obama administration that I will always fucking respect him for, okay? Which was slated to change the relationship between Iran and the United States of America, which never really happened, obviously. Benjamin Netanyahu was very frustrated about this decision. Benjamin Netanyahu was very mad about Iran denuclearizing and having like direct international investigators go into its nuclear facilities and check. I believe like every year, or I don't know. I forget the exact details, but they were very mad. I wonder why Israel was very mad about Iran signing a denuclearization agreement with not just the United States, but numerous other European countries as well. Why would they not favor such a thing? I thought that they were interested in Iran not having nukes. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu was very upset about that. And he was very vocal about it. He even said something along the lines of like, Barack Obama doesn't know the Middle East like I do. You know, he just like kind of big dicked him. Anyway, the Republicans invited Benjamin Netanyahu to speak and address Congress. Obama was the president at the time. In 2015, Netanyahu accepted the Republican invitation to address Congress. Lawmakers say the Obama administration is stiff-arming Congress, keeping them away from diplomacy with Iran. The House Speaker is fighting back, inviting Israel's tough-talking Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to address Congress soon. John Boehner invited him directly. He was the Speaker at the time. White House considered this a breach of protocol, but they couldn't do anything about it regardless. Okay? When Boehner invited Netanyahu, the message was clear. Many U.S. lawmakers are dubious of the Obama administration's negotiations with Iran and want to turn up the heat on Iran in these final months of the talks. But Nancy Pelosi, leader of the House Democrats, doesn't think this is a good idea. Understandably, because she is a diehard Dem through and fucking through. I would say Nancy Pelosi's loyalty to the Democratic Party is even higher than Chuck Schumer's loyalty to the Democratic Party. Chuck Schumer will maybe in certain instances deviate away from the Biden administration, even though he's just a cuck in general. He's not very strong. Nancy Pelosi will come out and you know, aggressively defend the Democratic Party every single time. I guess with the only deviation being that when she went to Taiwan. Okay?
Absolutely not. I think that I think this.
Yes. I know. Your debate daddy that got owned by every fucking scholar and knows more about Israel, Palestine, than me and everyone else. He knows the most about Israel, Palestine. All I read are tweets and Hamas propaganda. You got it, dude. Yeah. I promise, dude. It won't be seen as a genocide by the majority of the population if you keep fucking fighting this battle in my chat. I promise. Yes, and you're right. Erdogan is the leader of Israel. Why are they also goddamn cringe? I made the mistake of mentioning his name, so of course all of the fucking losers have been summoned. One 5-minute mention and the roaches come out. Yeah, every time. It's like clockwork. Yes, your Wikipedia scholar is the most knowledgeable. He's the eminent scholar, I promise.
This is wrong. Frankly, I didn't approve of his being invited the last time, but the speaker just on his own invited him without consulting with the rest of the leadership. And he came and he criticized.
I mean, thinks you're just a little jealous that D's looking cooler than you? Yes. Yeah. Get the bag, King. Do your thing.
President Obama for the masterful work that he had done with the nuclear agreement regarding Iran to stop them from developing a nuclear weapon. And I thought it was completely inappropriate. I feel it's very sad that he has been invited, but who knows by then, will he still be prime minister? Or what is Benny Gantz going to be saying tomorrow? What's happening? Everything I read is that they're unhappy about this, they're unhappy about that. Not just Benny, but other members of his cabinet. I wish that he would be a statesman and do what is right for Israel. We all love Israel. We fought for Israel. October 7th was terrible. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They're dedicated to the destruction of Israel. The hostages are not freed. The people of Gaza are suffering. We need to help them and not have him stand in the way of that for such a long time, he being Netanyahu. So I think it's just, I think it's going to invite more of what we have seen in terms of discontent among our own people about what's happening there. Let's try to have a two-state solution to make peace in the region rather than.
And to your point on Pelosi and team loyalty, she had zero smoke for Jeffries or Schumer for signing off on the invite as well. Yeah. The difference in this circumstance is that Joe Biden, unlike Barack Obama, is completely aligned with Benjamin Netanyahu, even though Benjamin Netanyahu is more disrespectful to Joe Biden than he was to Obama, even, like publicly. Okay. I mean, I guess, no, he was pretty disrespectful to Obama. Well, but regardless, Joe Biden is aligned with Benjamin Netanyahu, and her own party is openly inviting Benjamin Netanyahu to Congress to speak at the to address the United States Congress. It is really stupid, really bad optics, really bad politics, just in general. I don't really understand it. I mean, but I guess I don't really understand it beyond the fact that, like, they're just not really thinking clearly about the political considerations, the political implications. I think that it is a miscalculation. I think that they think that this is a carrot, yet another carrot for Benjamin Netanyahu to consider the Joe Biden administration's policies. I find it strange considering, and the reason why I say it's a miscalculation is because no matter what happens, Benjamin Netanyahu has shown over the course of the past 8 months that he does not care about disrespecting the Democratic Party, disrespecting the Biden administration, and routinely doing the exact opposite almost instantaneously after Brandon comes out with a statement. So I find it strange in spite of it all, and it makes you look weak. It makes the American government look weak in the eyes of the world. I think that it is incredibly cucked. It makes you look weak domestically. But I don't know. Such is the way of life, I guess. Benny Gantz will give a statement on Saturday at 1:40 p.m. Eastern. He will most likely announce his withdrawal from the emergency government. Yes. Benny Gantz is leaving the government, which also further complicates things. Fuck. How do I remove this paywall? Does anyone have? CIA assessment concludes Netanyahu is likely to defy U.S. pressure to set a post-war plan for Gaza. A CIA assessment circulated among U.S. officials this week concluded that Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu likely judges he can get away without defining a post-war plan, even as the Biden administration has launched a full-court press to pressure him. He has not. The Biden administration has not launched a full-court pressure plan. The issue is the American media acts like Biden has done that. If Biden wanted to do that, he could do that. How could he do that? He could do that by refusing to rearm Israel. And I'm not even just talking about refusing to rearm Israel for like its offensive weapons capabilities that is using in Gaza. I'm talking defensive shit. No more fucking Tamir interceptors until you listen to us. Okay? No more rearming the Iron Dome. No more fucking Tamir interceptors. Israel's Gantz is expected to announce resignation from Netanyahu's government on Saturday, tomorrow. Gantz announced his intention to quit the Netanyahu-led government several weeks ago unless a plan for post-war governance in Gaza is approved by June 8th. He also hoped that progress would be made in talks over a hostage deal by the time his ultimatum expires. Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz, who isn't necessarily like woke by any means, by the way, he's one of those like liberal generals. And therefore he is also incredibly militant. He famously ran against Benjamin Netanyahu by flexing his war crimes, okay? Saying like, I'm the real war criminal, not this fucking phony bitch. Gantz announced his intention to quit the Netanyahu-led government more than 3 weeks ago if a plan for post-war governance of Gaza is not formulated and approved by June 8th. Personal and political considerations have begun to enter the most sacred parts of Israel's defense, Gantz said at the press conference. Since his announcement, there have been no serious attempts to keep Gantz and his party in the government. The other part of the problem is that Gantz's popularity was really fucking high post-October 7, and that popularity has almost been cut in half. Half of the potential seats went from what was it, like 41 seats to 20 seats or 22 seats, in line with Benjamin Netanyahu's current possible seat arrangement if there was an election today, which has gone up since October 7. Benjamin Netanyahu was obviously very, very unpopular in the immediate aftermath of October 7. He was seen as a security candidate. He was going to ensure security for the Israelis. October 7 obviously destroyed that notion. But since then, his actions have been seen as roundly popular. He went from a high for 41 to around 25, 27 today. Bibi sits at 20 to 22. Whereas Benny Gantz went from a high of 41 to around 25 to 27 today. Gantz has hoped that progress would be made in Israel's negotiations with Hamas over a hostage deal by the time his ultimatum expires. He rejected calls by some members of his party, National Unity, to delay its departure from the government. The majority of the party thinks that it should return to the opposition. Over the course of their work in the current government, deep mistrust has developed between Gantz and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu, through Gantz, wanted to topple the government in any event while Gantz was convinced that Netanyahu was putting his political interests ahead of Israel's national interests. Gantz and Netanyahu talked briefly this week about the former's intention to quit the government after a war cabinet meeting, but there have been no attempts at persuasion between the two, and it's believed that the situation was hopeless anyway. Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that isn't withholding weapons for defense akin to withholding food aid that are required for survival of the population? No, of course not. No, one is withholding food and aid. The other one is withholding defensive weapons. It is not akin. Do you want to know why it's not akin? Because it would never happen anyway. The mere threat of saying that you're not going to do it is enough for Israel to fucking, to act correctly in this situation. Also, that is the most Ameri-brained attitude to have, though. So I do respect you for representing the most American-ass take. It's just like, how can I survive without my guns? Listen, all my family is starving, sir. If we don't get Tamir interceptors, my family will starve. Yeah, Israel also existed and survived long before the Iron Dome existed, but, you know, that's besides the point. Gantz's impending resignation has been preceded by weeks of growing pressure on him by members of his party. Now, one thing to consider here, one thing to remember here is that this is our guy. And by our guy, I mean the Democratic Party's guy. The Democratic Party was propping up Benny Gantz as the potential next leader of Israel. Another glaringly obvious miscalculation from the Democratic Party in its dealings with our closest ally, which I would consider to be just a part of the American government in general, just a forward operating base. Okay? Something to consider. What? So you went from 45K to 20K. I can't. You all right? Anyway, okay, moving on. I don't know what the fuck that chatter is talking about, but that's cool. Let's continue. So, here's the situation. Israel has not, since October 7, even once turned around and said, no, we're going to follow through on the things that you're suggesting. Like, we're going to follow through on any of the reasonable or maybe even actually radical changes that you have demanded we make. We will not be doing that. So I don't know why the Biden administration thinks that inviting Benjamin Netanyahu at this time would be helpful in any meaningful capacity, would turn the tide in the way that Israel has conducted itself since October 7. According to the assessment, those benchmarks include completing major military operations, something analysts have said is deliberately vague, as well as eliminating Hamas military commander Mohammed Deif. Deif is the commander of the Qassam Brigades and as a senior commander of the military wing of Hamas is believed to have been deeply involved in the planning of October 7. Israel's tried to target Deif multiple times in the past. Although he has been injured, he's believed to still be alive. The report is consistent with what CNN and others have reported in the days since President Joe Biden announced a three-pronged peace deal proposal on Friday. It comes as senior Biden administration officials, including CIA Director Bill Burns, are meeting with key mediators between Israel and Hamas at a particularly tense moment in negotiations. Burns has been the primary U.S. negotiator on a potential agreement. The U.S. has publicly characterized the deal as an Israeli proposal and has said it is waiting for Hamas to approve the terms, but Israel has been tepid at best on the proposal. I mean, there's no better way. There's no way that you can maintain. There's no way that you can maintain a impartial, objective journalistic stance while simultaneously not reporting on Israel's many different criticisms of its supposedly quote unquote own proposal. I wonder why Israel is tepid at best on the Israeli proposal. Something doesn't make sense. What's that about? One must ask the question, what the fuck is going on there? How weird. Privately, officials have been long clear-eyed about the difficulty of getting both sides to reach an agreement. The relationship between Biden and Netanyahu, world leader whom he once claimed to love, has increasingly strained as the civilian death toll in Gaza has mounted as a result of Israel's bombing campaign. So, Israel's outright rejections are still being seen as tepid criticisms. Israel's outright rejections of its own own peace plan, supposedly. Who knows? Meanwhile, on the other hand, Israel keeps saying internally and externally that they are going to go and fucking fight Lebanon and fight Hezbollah. I do not know if that is simply a political tool to try to re-up the war effort. I don't know if it's a tool to try and bring America into the conflict in more meaningful ways, or I don't know if it's just simply posturing because Hezbollah has been like raising northern Israel with bombs. So I do not know what will happen. Having said that, we are now moving on to the other front. Ukraine. Biden to speak on the future of democracy after meeting with Ukraine's Zelensky, in which Biden apologized for the delay to Ukraine in the weapon shipments.
Again, though, with a major new effort by President Biden to warn about the forces threatening democracies all around the world. A short while ago, he met with Ukrainian President, that's Vladimir Zelensky on your screen, in France to discuss future U.S. aid for that country's fight against the Russian invaders. Now, Ed O'Keefe has been traveling with the president and joins us now.
You shouldn't be mad at Israel. This war would end if Hamas released the hostages and put their arms down. Norm is no scholar, and he doesn't even know Hebrew or Arabic. Bro, you don't even know how to spell no. He supports the Houthis. He started using ad hominem to distract the audience that he was getting destroyed by destiny. Yeah. Well, unfortunately for you, no matter how hard you fucking live in your hug box, that is not how the entire planet that viewed that back and forth saw the situation as that. You can keep going back to your hug box and getting reinforced in your opinion, in your faulty notion that like a guy who read Wikipedia pages specifically so he could find a couple talking points actually wasn't destroyed by a dude whose research has been instructive in writing those Wikipedia pages. But it's all good, man. It's the same principle behind. It's the same exact principle behind people being like Hassan early on saying, Hassan, you sucked on Piers Morgan when you yelled at those people. And then the entire fucking planet celebrated it because they were like, oh, this is cathartic. Finally, someone is just saying, shut the fuck up to these dumbasses. Why do they think Israel and Hamas is censored? I don't know. It's so odd. It is very odd, I think, to keep fighting these battles. Like you're not even talking about Israel-Palestine. You know that, right? Like you're not fighting a battle on Israel-Palestine. You're fighting a battle for your favorite debate lord in the chat of another person, like a whole ass other person who's not interested in having this conversation. Like you have to really reorient your priorities. Are you okay? Are you good? Like, I think it would be a much more interesting conversation to have with you if you just kept to like what your actual opinions are on Israel and how you think, Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign is not an ethnic cleansing campaign at all. But you're so busy, you're so interested in just simply using literal world events in an effort to to proselytize for your favorite content creator, for your favorite kick streamer. It's a very weird thing to do. I don't understand it.
Now from Point Duac, where Biden is set to speak a little later today. Ed, good morning to you.
Gail, good morning. This is one of the most breathtaking
Norm's performance being a disappointment is an understatement. Yeah, dude, totally. He was really disappointing. You're right. Sure.
Drops a president can visit. We're standing between Utah and Omaha beaches, where tributes to the thousands who fought on these beaches will continue later this morning. But in that meeting with President Zelensky just a little while ago, President Biden announced another $225 million in military aid to Ukraine. He'll be here later to talk about his concerns about the future of democracy.
I agree with Israel. It is the only... See, the moment that we switch the conversation back to Israel, he goes back to the talking points. Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East where gays won't be thrown off buildings. Yeah, you're right, dude. Totally. That's definitely real. First of all, gay people still can't get married in Israel. Secondly, in the West Bank, gay rights were given to gay people far before Israel in general. Last but not least, Turkey is another country in the Middle East, alongside many other countries in the Middle East, where these gays are not being thrown off the rooftops, including in fucking Palestine either. I mean, including in still better than Arab countries. Listen, brother, listen. What you're demonstrating simply here is racism, okay? What the fuck do you mean gays are not being thrown off buildings? Israel's largest ally in the region is Saudi Arabia, okay? It's not like they're super fond of gay people there either, all right? They're not throwing them off the buildings in the way that you keep pointing back to ISIS. But it's just like, the fuck are you talking about? All of America and Israel's allies in the region are significantly worse for gay people, and they're not in active conflict like Gaza is, being fucking slaughtered by Israeli arms that we're paying for. The idea that like queer liberation can only happen with Israeli weaponry is so fucking stupid. I don't know how to answer that. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to address that. Okay. Saudi Arabia say Israel is doing a genocide. They are not allies. Yeah, dude, you're right. Saudi Arabia and Israel are definitely not allies. Remember when you earlier talked about the Houthis? Who do you think is working around the clock in intercepting Houthi, Ansar Allah, the Ansar Allah government's missiles over the Red Sea? It's American guidance systems that the Saudi government is using. This is the problem with many of these people that is just because they hate Iran. Yeah, got it. Okay. So you are admitting that they are allies to Israel then. Okay, thank you for admitting that. The issue with like dealing with people like this is that they don't really think about the full scope. They don't think about anything at all. They just have a couple talking points that their favorite content creator has repeated, and they're just like in here trying to repeat it. You need to actively investigate the situation on your own and make up your own mind, come to your own conclusions, okay? If not, you're just going to look like a fucking idiot. It's true. Israel's the only democracy in the world where gays are pulled out of their cars at checkpoints, taken into dark rooms by Shin Bet, and blackmailed into being collaborators. Yeah, that too. Something very dystopian about a group of people more interested in chasing debate wins than approaching the conflict from an empathetic view and a nuanced perspective. They'll see tens of thousands of children ruthlessly slaughtered and will defend it immediately. It's the same team sports politics they engage in as neolibs in the US. Weird behavior. Yeah. It's a very strange phenomenon to try to come in here with like simply just talking points that can so easily be dismantled, and they do it regardless. I know you were wrong when you say Israel is a settler state. Arabs colonized Levant, not Jews. Okay, brother, sure. Israel is a settler colonial state. You literally cannot deny that reality. Okay, early Zionists recognized that it was a colonial operation and openly claimed it as such. It's just history. You can keep repeating Hasbara talking points that have been reiterated to you time and time again, but that does not change reality. Okay? No, it is not. Jews were there before the Arabs. Currently, the state of Israel is too busy killing the descendants of those very same Jews that just remained in that area instead of leaving. I hope you understand that. The difference, of course, is that you're talking about fucking 3,000 years ago, which is no justification. This is an idiotic justification for currently actively engaging in an ethnic cleansing campaign of the indigenous population that has been living there for hundreds of years. Nobody thinks this is a valid excuse. This is simply myth-making. I do not believe, I don't even know if you yourself are Jewish or Israeli, I feel like you're just repeating. You're just repeating things that other people have told you without really thinking about it. There is no justification for physically and violently removing people from a place that they have lived for hundreds of years. It's ridiculous. There's a reason why this kind of blood and soil myth making under every other circumstance in 2024 is immediately considered fascist and completely unacceptable. It's pretty basic. It's pretty basic stuff. Okay? Why would people openly believe their government propaganda? Arab declared war on Israel. That's why they were expelled. Yeah, dude, you're right. The fucking villagers declared war on Israel before Israel existed. Now you're not even correct on your history. You're jumbling up all of these different aspects into one in an effort to do the shittiest defense for Israel possible. Okay? You're also monolithizing the entirety of the Arab population while talking about the Palestinians. This, once again, can only happen if you personally, as a Jewish person, believe that Jews are somehow different, even if they are Arab. Okay? They also follow a pedo. Oh, dude, I wouldn't be talking about pedophilia if we're talking about Israel. Come on now. Oh, he's just, I think he means Muhammad, right? He's going to say Muhammad. Is that where he's going? He's going with the Islamophobia. Classic. Yep, there it is. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Yeah. Hold on. Let's take a look at this Times of Israel article. Or, well, this is a CBS News article from 2020. Here's a Haaretz article from 2016. Israel becoming a refuge for pedophiles, warns advocate for child sex abuse victims. How Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel? Well, they don't have an extradition policy. Why would you ever bring up pedophilia in this situation? The notion of like invoking the name of Muhammad is so funny in this situation. Like, the fuck does that have to do with anything? There's Christian Palestinians too, dumbass. You just immediately, automatically assume every Arab is a Muslim, I guess. But I guess it's democratically doing that. Literally, Haganah intelligence documents from the time say most of the Arab population didn't want to fight. They also estimate that almost all the fighting was caused by excessive Haganah and Etzel actions. Here's a forward.com article. Jewish child brides, why the barbaric practice of marrying off young girls persists. This does not mean that like Jews are pedophiles or anything like that, because I'm not some fucking racist anti-Semitic freak. You, on the other hand, are a racist Islamophobic freak. It is an idiotic argument to make, especially when, you know, as far as religious scripture goes, there's pedophilia in all the fucking Abrahamic religions. Give me a goddamn break. None of which, by the way, justifies ethnic cleansing, which is what Israel is doing. You are looking desperately at any avenue you can to try and defend Israel's ethnic cleansing, and doing a very bad job at it too. Islamophobia does not exist. Europe is suffering because of Arabs as well. Islamophobia doesn't exist. You should be scared of Islam. I mean, I don't really need to do much to show people how fucking big of a fascist you are. You know what I mean? As a, like, Zionism being a inherently fascist ideology is so perfectly demonstrated. You did blood and soil propaganda. You are now saying all of the enemies are pedophilic monsters. They're all Muslim. They're all monolithic. And also, being fearful of Islam is a good thing, and it is normal. Yeah, I know. You think that because your brain is broken. Islamophobia does not exist. You should be scared of Islam. It is normal. Once again, I hope you understand that as a Jewish person, your history is riddled with people who felt this way about you and your religion. Okay? You are repeating that exact same fascism that Jewish people experienced, and it was quite deadly. Very odd. Can you imagine saying this out loud in public? This is some chronically online stuff. I think there are places that you can say this out loud in public, at least like kinder versions of this. Bill Maher does basically this as well. Islamophobia is so normalized that people not only can say it freely, but also will get promoted for it even. And this is where all of the r/atheists will chime in. Your country got, everybody in Europe hates, every Islamic country is a hellhole. Everybody in Europe hates Islam as well. Your country got ruined by Arabs as well. Yeah, totally, man. My country? Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Turkey or are you talking about America? Neither of which was quote unquote ruined by Arabs. This one is not salvageable. Syrians, yeah, totally ruined. Any Valo? I love having this conversation with this chatter, and someone is like, any Valo streams in the near future? Islamophobia is just like any other form of bigotry. It basically rots your moral foundation. It rots your brain. It's silly thinking in general. It's just, you are becoming a dumber person as a consequence of this. You are not thinking critically. The assumption that like all Muslims or all Arabs are a monolith is idiotic. It's bigoted. And it forces you to think in these sorts of very violent reactionary ways. Okay? Instead, you should be thinking about the top of the hour ad break, which comes at the top of every hour. And you should be thinking about ways of defending yourself against the top of the hour ad break. It calls on you to kill infidels. I'm Muslim, bro. You think I'm here to kill infidels? What's up? You eat pork. You are not Muslim. Okay. Yeah. Got it. You don't fast as well. Anyway, here, you should exercise your fasting at the top of the hour, which doesn't really make sense, but here's the 3-minute ad break regardless. Why do Europeans do to non-Christians through history again? Yeah, just the same stuff. Why do D-fans know this much about you? Because they don't have like a genuine interest in politics or anything like that. They just have a genuine interest in being like, Hassan sucks. That is the most uniting principle among the fan base of this one particular community. They're just obsessed. As I've said time and time again, I am culturally Muslim. I grew up in a Muslim family. I grew up in a Muslim country. There are a lot of aspects of Islam and, you know, Muslim culture in general that I grew up with. I'm not a practicing Muslim.
A day of ceremony marking the service and sacrifice of those who stormed the sands of Normandy.
Abi iddiaya gireceğim, bu yarak kafalı Türk mü rol yapıyor? Yok, hayır, bence Türk değil. Sadece Türk adına Türk koydu ama Türk değil bence. Islam is going to ruin the West like it's ruined the Middle East. I have an Iranian friend. Look at his country. Yeah, totally. Except all of those countries that you're mentioning, whether it be Iran, Afghanistan, whether it be Egypt, literally has been ruined by American intervention and Western intervention in general, and not about Islam at all. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about in that regard.
Hour of trial, the Allied forces of D-Day did their duty. Now the question for us is in our hour of trial? Will we do ours?
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden joined French President Emmanuel Macron, the British royal family, and other leaders, including Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who earned a hero's welcome from heroes past.
Oh, you're the savior of the people. Here's my eyes. I pray for you.
And it was Ukraine's war against aggressor Russia where the president was most forceful.
The autocrats of the world are watching closely to see what happens in Ukraine, to see if we let this illegal aggression go unchecked.
You sound like the average Israeli, not practicing a religion, just using the label to defend fascist theocrats. Very uncool, Hassan. Wait, what? I sound like the average Israeli. If I sounded like the average Israeli from the Muslim side, I would be saying that, like, all Jews have to be killed or some shit, because that is what the average Israeli or the average Zionist says about Muslims. Okay? This is a ridiculous fucking comparison. You're imagining things, I think. Or you're trying to do a top of the hour ad break debate, which already happened. I already ran it. So, it's very weird. Basically the same as your normal commentary. What? Are people all right? What's going on right now? Hamas Piker added again. Up, another October 7 leaver returner in the community. All I've seen on YouTube Shorts is Andrew Tate content despite having never searched for him. And then, boom. So taking hostages was right. How else was Hamas supposed to convince Israel to give up its occupation in Gaza? 4-5. Hamas Piker added again. What is going on in this community right now? The bat signal. The bat signal for debate perverts has been called on. Yeah. Go defend slurs elsewhere, losers. All right, let's continue. Biden has begun the future of democracy.
We cannot let that happen.
Today, President Biden speaks at Point du Hoc, home to 100-foot cliffs between Omaha and Utah Beach, scaled 80 years ago this week by Army Rangers to neutralize German artillery.
He's going to talk about the gift that those soldiers gave us and the world, and how we have to treasure and cherish that gift going forward and do everything we can to preserve it.
Biden isn't the first American president to speak from the shell-scarred site. 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan touched on similar themes when he honored the boys of Point du Hoc.
And democracy is worth dying for because it's the most deeply honorable form of government ever devised by man.
Inspiring courage and commitment to those.
Now, here at Point du Hoc, the White House tells us again the president's going to focus on his concerns about the future of democracy. It's a message that will be heard by the world, but that aides say is especially designed to reach audiences back home as he continues his re-election fight. And the trip here to France continues through the weekend. Saturday, it's a state visit with a full military parade in the streets of Paris and a state dinner and big meetings with French President Emmanuel Macron before flying home on Sunday. Vlad?
Ed O'Keefe in France, thank you very much.
Putin says Russia can provide long-range weapons to others to strike Western targets. Oh, here we go. Nice. Going into a full-scale war over fucking Putin's ambitions on Ukraine and everyone else's inability to fucking put this conflict to rest while simultaneously preserving the lives of as many Ukrainians as possible. I love that. It's great. Let's do it. Fuck it. YOLO. Ban for ban.
Кто-то считает возможным поставлять такое оружие в зону боевых действий для нанесения ударов по нашей территории и создания проблем для нас, то почему у нас нет права поставлять наше оружие такого же класса в те регионы мира?
To supply weapons for the same type all around the world where they can be used to launch strikes on sensitive facilities
по чувствительным объектам тех стран,
of the countries that do it to Russia.
которые делают это в отношении России. То есть ответ может быть
The answer may be asymmetric. We will think about it.
Мы над этим подумаем. И в конечном итоге, если мы
And
видим, что
ultimately, if we see that these countries are being drawn into a war against us, and this is their direct involvement in the war, against the Russian Federation, then we reserve the right to act the same way. In general, this is a path to a very serious problem. Is this what you meant by multipolarity? Yeah, dude, multipolarity implies that, like, you know, everyone is fucking killing everyone. Like, there's no way that there could be any sort of collaboration. There's never any collaboration between America and the EU, for example. Like, it's great.
U.S. officials say Russia will begin air and naval exercises within the coming weeks, and this is the first time that Russia has held air and naval maneuvers in the Caribbean since 2019. The exercises are expected to last all summer, culminating in a worldwide naval exercise in the fall. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin joins us now from the Pentagon. David, first of all,
what do you think about the projected surges in voting in favor of Trump now that he's a convicted felon? That's not what? Nobody's like, I wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump, but now that he's a convicted felon, I'm voting for him. What the fuck are you talking about?
What do we know about these exercises, where they're taking place, what nations are involved?
Well, the Cuban government has just announced that 4 Russian warships will arrive in Havana on June 12th next week for a 5-day port visit. So we can expect these exercises to begin by the end of this month. And in addition to those 4 Russian naval ships, we can expect to see Russian long-range bombers patrolling down the East Coast. Now, Russian ships have made port calls in Cuba before, and Russian long-range bombers have flown down the East Coast before. What makes this noteworthy is that it is the first time in 5 years that Russia has done both at the same time.
You know, David, as people...
Why is Cuba agreeing? What the fuck do you mean, why is Cuba agreeing? Do you guys not understand the relationship between America and Cuba? Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but America has had crippling sanctions on Cuba since the Cuban Revolution. We backed the dictatorship. They lost. And we haven't stopped punishing the Cubans since. Like, they treat this fucking tiny island nation like the goddamn, like the biggest villains of all time for the crime of having a socialist revolution. Okay? And hurting American interests in Cuba. America would much rather have Cuba remain a sugar plantation and a tourism destination for the American mafia, or just, you know, owned and operated by the American mob. And they really don't like that it didn't happen like that. It didn't continue being like that. We gave a lot of weapons to the Batista dictatorship at the time, which was significantly more bloody than anything else. Then we kept trying to destroy Cuba by obviously directly attacking Cuba at times, trying to assassinate Fidel Castro, and also having a sanctions regime on Cuba. Completely unacceptable. There is no world in which America's actions there are justifiable. All things considered, Cuba has still been able to thrive in spite of it all. The main export of Cuba is U.S. The Cubans who leave and send money back to our family, the fuck you on about? What the fuck is this up with this chat glazing up Cuba? What the fuck is up with, like, what the fuck is up with Cubans who come to the United States of America and shit on Cuba? Like, did you address any of the things that I just mentioned? No. In what planet is it justifiable to fucking blockade and sanction an entire nation? Like, what are you talking about? You just said they thrive. No way they have thrived. Yes, they have thrived, all things considered. They have. You have to analyze a country and its prospects by looking at all of the hurdles that they've overcome. when you look at it from that framework, all of a sudden, America being the wealthiest nation on earth, and yet still having a massive homelessness crisis, still not having free health care, still not having free college education, having some of the worst literacy rates in comparison to other OECD nations, having the worst home ownership rate in comparison to other OECD nations, having the worst healthcare outcomes across the board in comparison to other OECD nations, losing out to Cuba in terms of life expectancy is a massive fucking failure. But nobody wants to have that conversation. So you just keep talking about GDP, a metric that favors the United States of America. It's ridiculous. It's like thinking that the economy is doing good because the market is doing good, when the market, or at least like a stock, will perform better when they lay off hundreds of people. Okay, does that mean that, you know, the economy is moving in a positive direction? Hundreds of layoffs occurred, downsizing occurred, they eliminated redundancies, and now the stock prospects for a particular corporation is better. Hundreds of people lost their jobs in the process. If you hyper focus on the numbers on that, in that regard, you will be duped into believing that, you know, things are going fine. It's the same principle.
Folks are making a comparison to Kennedy, to the sphere of influence with Russian missiles in Cuba, now Russian naval exercises and military exercises. Talk to us about the timing of these exercises. And
Cuba has a shot that heals lung cancer. Yes, Cuba does have a vaccine for lung cancer. A shot that cures cancer, I'm calling bullshit. First of all, mRNA vaccines are working on that as well. But Cuba has had a lung cancer vaccine for quite a while. People with lung cancer in the United States of America could not go to Cuba to get it for the longest time. They had to illegally go to Cuba and try and get it before, if they have a likelihood of getting lung cancer. Yeah, we have HPV vaccines, and HPV causes cancer too.
to that point, whether it poses any threat to the U.S.
Well, U.S. officials say that on one level, this is simply the summer exercise season kicking off. But they also believe that this is partly a show of displeasure by Putin for American support of Ukraine and for all the NATO exercises that have been going on in Europe. This presence of 4 Russian ships in the Caribbean off the east coast of the United States just pales in comparison to the size of the exercises the U.S. military has been conducting with its NATO allies in Europe. So this is not considered in any way a direct threat to the United States.
Where's that one chatter who was shitting on Cuba? Where's he at? I want to hear more from him about how awful Cuba is and how we have to have a sanctions regime on Cuba. Where'd he go? It's ridiculous. I promise you, I have more smoke for the current Turkish administration than you do for the Cuban administration. And yet, when America fucks over Turkey and engages in actions that are worse overall for the Turkish population, I will fucking openly call that shit out because I'm not some dumb fuck blinded by some weird loyalty to the United States of America. You said, didn't Obama remove sanctions during his presidency? Yeah, what happened? I don't know if you know this, but there was another president that came after him, and then another president that came after him. And no, Obama didn't remove all the sanctions during his presidency. Obama developed a pathway towards removing sanctions and normalizing relations with Cuba, which was great, only to have it reversed with Donald Trump and continued under the Brandon administration as well. So go ahead. What's your answer to that? Also, even before Obama, what's your answer to the sanctions regime that was in place and the embargo that was in place for however many decades at this point? Nobody's loyal to the shit country, man. Okay, but like you're it seems like you're defending, or rather refusing to acknowledge, a key part of my argument. I agree sanctions are the culprit, but Cuba's not doing it according to its citizens. No, I'm not saying Cuba is doing great. I'm saying Cuba is thriving in consideration with the sanctions. All things considered, Cuba is doing great. Cuba should be looking like Haiti right now. If America had its way, Cuba would look like Haiti. That's it. That's my point. It's doing well in spite of the United States. No country could survive in this current global economy with the same level of sanctions and the embargoes that America is placing upon them. Okay? That's it. Having said that, as far as restrictions on certain civil liberties, not LGBTQ stuff, obviously they're more woke than we are on that front, but restrictions on like free speech, for example, is because Cuba is also in a consistent defensive posture against the largest global superpower on the fucking planet. Cuba is a tiny island. This does not justify people being imprisoned for speaking out against the government or whatever. But if you think for even a brief moment that America has not implemented similar restrictions on free speech, like the Sedition Act, as a matter of fact, in times of war, you would be wrong. So that also goes back to America's restrictions. This is why I have more criticisms for Chinese restrictions than I do for Cuban restrictions on that similar vein. It's still bad across the board, but there's a real reason for why they exist. The consequences are still damaging nonetheless.
David, do we expect that the Biden administration will respond in any way to these exercises?
Well, you can be sure that the U.S. military is going to be tracking this exercise very closely, sending up jet fighters to intercept the long-range bombers and shadowing those ships, in particular the submarine. I just checked, and it turns out that right now in the Caribbean, the only thing the U.S. Navy has there are autonomous sail drones. But the east coast of the United States is just bristling with
Joel Seaverud, thank you for the 25 gifted subs.
Air bases and naval bases, and the U.S. could surge ships and aircraft out if in this exercise and somehow in some way turn threatening.
David Martin at the Pentagon for us. Thanks, David.
Good evening tonight from Normandy, where we witnessed something truly historic today. World War II veterans returning 80 years to the day after they stormed the beaches of Normandy and changed the course of history here. Tonight, my exclusive...
Wait, didn't we watch this? Oh, we watched a snippet of this interview, not the full thing. All right, let's go to First Thought, who had a coverage on the matter from 7 hours ago, how the Russia-Ukraine war will end. For the sake of brevity, this video will focus solely on the state of the war and not the internal politics of the involved parties, such as the influence of far-right elements in Ukraine or the reception of mass mobilization in Russia.
After nearly 2 years of war in Ukraine,
the northeast of Ukraine is being pounded by Russian missiles and bombs.
Dangerous new levels as Vladimir Putin orders Russian troops to begin tactical nuke drills.
It's so funny how the same fucking people will be like, I can't believe, people speaking out against communism in Cuba get arrested, while they fucking simultaneously watch that same exact shit happening in America and don't comprehend that like these two things are in line with one another. Beyond that, the United States of America obviously still has the highest prisoner per capita population out of every other OECD nation in general, and every other nation, as a matter of fact. So,
February
what the fuck are we talking about? Land of the free, my ass.
4th, 2022, Russia invades Ukraine by launching a full-scale offensive. Strategically important areas such as Kyiv, power plants, and other major infrastructure are attacked with missile salvos. Infantry pours in from the north, east, and south, including amphibious landings in the critical port cities of Odessa and Mariupol. Russia's overwhelming numbers and superior firepower led most observers to predict that Ukraine would fall within just a few weeks. However, much to everyone's surprise, Ukraine not only survived the initial onslaught, they pushed most Russian forces back to their own borders, except in the Donbass, where the two strongest Russian-aligned separatist groups operate. Despite this initial success and notable instances of Ukraine achieving gains thought impossible, such as sinking several major Russian naval ships and hitting targets inside Russia, Ukraine has been on the back foot, suffering military defeats, shortages of critical supplies and munitions, political instability, and the increasingly faltering United States. Is Ukraine on the verge of...
It's not per capita anymore, but we do have the largest prisoner population in totality. Wait, oh, did El Salvador beat us? Is that what it is?
...of defeat. But before we answer that question, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our channel sponsor, Aura. As you all know, we make political content here and on our other channels. Unfortunately, that means some people don't like us very much. These days, a quick Google search is all it takes to find someone's personal information. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all readily available for those who want to find it. That's why I've been using Aura to help keep my private details private. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. This not only cuts down on the amount of spam I get, but also helps keep all my accounts safe from bad actors. I'll give you a real-world example. AT&T recently revealed that over 73 million...
Do you think there's a long-term hope for socialism in Russia? Fuck no.
Customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. They recommended that those affected change their passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. This was a huge breach, but I don't have to worry. Aura does all of this for me.
I don't get it. I thought it was Israel that didn't accept the agreement. Qatar threatens to expel Hamas if terror group rejects ceasefire deal, report says. U.S. officials says Doha have been warning Hamas for months about possible expulsion, moving to concrete threats following repeated requests from Biden and public criticism from Israel. What are you asking me? I don't get it. I thought it was Israel that didn't accept the agreement. Do you think Israel is accepting the agreement? Don't you think that this is basically just following along with the whole, like, don't pay attention to Israel refusing to acknowledge this agreement? It's actually Hamas that's, refusing to accept it. That's just America moving along with the commentary that they, or with the consent that they want to manufacture. He's saying, why is Qatar threatening Hamas when they should know Hamas is accepting? Because Qatar is operating as a staging ground for these negotiations because of the United States of America. Qatar is not operating on their own individual framework at all. They just do what America wants them to do. And America is saying, increase the pressure, make it seem as though the responding party is actually Israel. The party that's responding positively is actually Israel. It's Hamas that's like disagreeing. What do you mean? U.S. State Department spokesperson Matt Miller said on Wednesday that the U.S. has observed both Egypt and Qatar exert significant pressure on Hamas, though he declined to elaborate on the specifics of these efforts. Like what? We've seen both countries play an incredibly important role in mediating this deal, making it clear that this deal is in the interest of the Palestinian people and doing so appropriately. U.S. officials privately noted that Egypt is applying more pressure on Hamas than in the past, though the extent of Egypt's private dialogue with the group remains unclear. The U.S. continues to advocate for the deal, with Biden and 16 other world leaders urging Hamas to accept it. That's ironic because it's actually Biden and 16 other world leaders urging Israel to accept it, emphasizing Israel's readiness to move forward. This is literally just like reverse world, a bizarro world. However, U.S. officials admit that there is no backup plan if Hamas rejects the deal. Hamas's expected refusal, as reported by the Hezbollah-affiliated Lebanese newspaper Al Akhbar, stems from clear statements by Israeli ministers and Knesset members indicating an intention to resume the war after a hostage deal, which is not the deal. That's a whole different deal. It's not a deal at all. There you go. It took us, what, 8 paragraphs to get to the fucking meat of the matter? The report claimed that these statements explicitly revealed Israel's plan to renew hostilities post-deal. Hamas demands a clear framework to end the war with actionable mechanisms, dismissing U.S. guarantees as insufficient. Does that elaborate? Does that help you understand with a little bit more clarity what is going on? Biden claims Israel has a proposal that is a 3-phase proposal that is also almost identical to the Hamas proposal that was given on February, in the month of February. Israel turns around and basically thinks that they can hide the true intentions of continuing hostilities, even though you have the term ceasefire in there. Well, we don't know if Israel actually put the term ceasefire in there, but at least Biden presented it as Israel's deal when he said ceasefire and a full-blown cessation of hostilities in phase 2. Israel turns around and goes, oh, no, we didn't mean it like that. We want to keep bombing, actually, with no clear indication of cessation of hostilities at all, as a matter of fact. We're going to keep going on with our military conquest to dismantle Hamas and destroy Hamas, both politically and militarily. Which is basically going back, and under normal terms, it's a a rug pull. Yeah, as Shatter said, it's basically saying like, no, you don't understand. We're going to keep doing what we want to do. It's not a deal at all. So if you, and even in the article, they very openly and clearly state that. Yeah, dude, Hamas demands a clear framework to end the war with actionable mechanisms is incredibly valid. They're saying, do the deal that you said you're going to do. I'm a bit sad. I like that we're moving on and going, I'm a bit sad Hamas isn't accepting the deal. Bro, it's not a deal. It's not the deal, okay? Hamas saying, we will accept the deal that you put forward, but if it's not the deal that you put forward and you just keep blowing up Palestinian homes, then that's not a fucking ceasefire deal at all. It took you 0 fucking seconds. Look at what I am. Look at this. Look at what's in front of you. Even this is Ynet. It's obviously biased. And even then, why would you assume Israel would ceasefire in the ceasefire deal is so funny. I'm a bit sad Hamas isn't accepting the deal. I have no illusion of positive intentions from Israel, but I feel like the refusal will be used as an excuse to justify more slaughter if they accept the deal and Israel reneged it. It would ratchet up pressure and more. Hard to be optimistic, just afraid more people are going to die. I can't tell if this is like Hasbara bots have been deployed in the chat or something as soon as we looked at this article. Just saying, when they keep doing it, there will be more pressure. What do you mean? There's no deal at all then. Like Israel's like, yeah, no, give us the hostages and we'll continue our genocide. That's fucking insane. That's not a deal. That's not the deal. A ceasefire means a ceasefire, okay? No more blowing up Palestinian houses. It is also so laughable because like every Israeli mouthpiece so far has been like, no, we're going to keep blowing up Palestinian houses. Fuck this deal. This deal sucks dick. It's our deal, but it also sucks. We don't want it. And these guys are like, oh man, I'm so sad that Hamas is not accepting the deal where Israel takes out the hostages and then continues killing every Palestinian. Okay. Like, I don't know how to describe to you the past week of action. It's been 7 full days since Joseph Robinette Brandon turned around and said, this is Israel's deal. And yet, for some weird reason, Israel has not agreed to its own deal. Does that not make sense to you? Does that not weird you out even a little bit?
Damn, this guy's good.